for dinner? Well, MREs.
Meals rejected by Ethiopians.
No, meals rejected by everybody. And this is a British company, and actually I looked it up, and this particular brand in the line of meals is very highly regarded amongst the outdoorsy hiking, camping folks. They expect to be on the island 22 days,
Wow.
but they're planning on 28. And they also have a subsequent plan that if it stretches out even longer, how they can ration the food.
The good thing is if they're eating MREs for 28 days, they do not need to take any portable toilets.
Be chewing on each other.
You won't go.
But this is their MRE supply packed up and ready to go.
Yes.
In terms of packing, they hit a milestone just about a month ago where they packed everything up into a sea van and got ready to ship it to Port Stanley. That went out on September 10th.
7 tons.
7 tons of equipment traveled from Oslo down to Port Stanley. And this is where they're packing it up. They checked with a lot of shipping companies and other folks that do
Weird stuff.
transoceanic shipping, and they said, what's the best container? Poly Boys.
What?
They're very easily stacked, they're sealed, waterproof, they can take hits and still bounce back, so that's what they have packed most of their equipment in.
Essentially, they're 55-gallon polyethylene drums, or PET drums, and they ship them all over the United States for food syrups and food products for humans in them. They're easily water sealed and they're very lightweight when compared to steel.
And the other reason was they got them was they're readily available. There are tens of thousands of them out there. The important thing in most expeditions is not so much getting there, but paying for the transportation to get there. Their budget is, although it says $690,000 here, it's actually gone up to about just over 700,000. Each operator, and this is normal with most such expeditions, each operator pays their own way. They pay their own transportation to and from the staging location, to and from the staging location to where the expedition will be, and back. The North Carolina DX Foundation donated $100,000 toward the expedition. Independent DX Association donated $15,000. Most of the budget is for transportation, because when they rent the Marma, the ship, it doesn't leave. Once it gets to Bouvet Island, it stays there, because they might have to evacuate. So that ship is at Anchorage for 22, potentially 28 days, doing nothing other than back and forth, putting supplies on and off the island. They've gotten quite a bit of corporate sponsorship through DX Engineering, Wimo, Spiderbeam. Some of these companies may not be familiar to you because they're either European companies or they're commercial companies that we might not be familiar with. But a vast majority of their financial sponsorship has been through individuals. And as Steve said, you can go onto their website and you can donate however much you feel comfortable with via PayPal, and helps them out and gets this expedition off the beach and onto the air. Here are some of the companies that are donating. As mentioned, some of them are European companies that you may not be familiar with, or they're commercial companies. So if you want to help get the Bouvet de-expedition island, or Bouvet Island de-expedition, I should say, off and running, you can go to 3y0j.com, and they have a donation link, lots of information. There's also a news menu on that particular website where you can get the latest information about the de-expedition. Yeah, Terry.
Do you or anybody have a the traditional propagation in that general direction for that time of year?
When you get down in the Antarctic and the Arctic, a lot of the prediction stuff pretty much goes out the window. They're just gonna get on the air and try to work as much as possible. That's why they're putting 8 stations on the air. Try to have those
We've had,
stations on the
so
air
much
continuously.
solar activity recently that we're getting days of wipeout, so.
That's what 2 kW amplifiers hope to overcome.
You know, that's another reason they're taking the SPE amps. Well,
I heard Antarctica this weekend, a couple days ago. So propagation is working. That was before the bands went to crap yesterday, but I could hear him clear. Now, he couldn't hear me and everybody was blasting him, legal limit, but
We're sitting at
100 watts of the
K5.
wire doesn't cut.
yeah,
We're sitting at a K5 right about now.
yeah. So the bands went to snot, but 2 days ago, I heard it. Okay, all last week, I worked 20 Japanese stations in less than 30 minutes. I worked several South African stations earlier this week, like Sunday night, Monday morning. So the bands are good if they happen to hit that particular part of the
Oh.
leg.
You might tell them why they want to donate individually if they choose to do so. You'll get a confirmation right away.
now, depending on the level of your
If they were-
donation as to how fast they will, eventually everybody will get confirmation through either Logbook of the World primarily, but if you have donated over a certain level, you will get a QSL card as well as a Logbook of the World confirmation. Okay? Any other questions about Bouvet?
Yeah, you mentioned they'd be using hex beams, but when you put the list of antennas up, hex beams were not.
They said verticals on your slide showed verticals.
Verticals only.
Spider beams.
Yeah,
There were no hex beams.
the hex beams will be for the low bands, they will be on the tri-band or triplexers. And then on the low bands, 160, 80, 40, and 30, they'll use verticals.
Okay, so still I didn't see hex beams on the list.
I'm sorry?
I did not see hex beams on that list, they were not there.
Yeah, it was a Spider Beam that's donating those. Okay,
Thank you very much for your presentation.
send money.